Welcome to the show. Another exciting, thrilling edition. You're not doing it all the time to yourself, though. I just do it to myself all the time. Welcome to the show. It's another episode of Between the Trees. We are at Baldwin Trail Riders in Lowman, New York. This is round 7 of the New York State Championship. Let's go have some fun and do some racing. We've got another exciting show to bring you race fans, but before we get started, let's meet the 4x4 class. Dan Honacki, number 1017, he's only 5'3", 39 years old, weighs 202 pounds, and he prefers blondes. Dustin Carnes, he's actually 7'4", 48 years old, 569 pounds. He can't make up his mind between the two hairstyles because he's still afraid of ladies. I am 6'9", 43 years old, 222 pounds, and when it comes to either hair color, yes. Up next is Justin Mills. He stands at a whopping 10 foot 4 inches. He's 17 years old, weighs in at 205 pounds. He's still experimenting with both hair types. Chris Keister, he's a short guy, 4 foot 4 inches, 11 years old, 96 pounds. And when it comes to blondes or redheads, he's definitely a redhead guy. Colton Harkness, 1031. His height, he's 5'8", he's 72 years old, weighs in 123 pounds. He doesn't care about the color, just as long as they got dreadlocks. And Rich Drave, number 1021. He's 5'10", 103 years old, 350 pounds. He doesn't care what color it is, he just wants to make sure they have a gray bush. Kyle Lawrence, number 1020. He is 6'9", age 69, weighs 169, and his only requirement for the hair is that they got to be breathing. He doesn't care what color it is, or if they even have any. So, like every other episode, we're going to give away some money, but this one, we've got two sponsors, WILLOWS Collision and your NYOA media team. Each put up $100 for a grand total of $200 for you, those of you who can add. And joining me on headset, Kyle Holler, can you add up 100 plus 100?
I think that's $200.
$200, we're giving it away. So, photo quizzes as usual. You'll have to name the GNCC track in each photo. So, race is underway. Guns get your whole shot, followed by Colton Harkness. Looks like Keister and Kyle Lawrence got right up there. Rich Drave and Dustin Carnes and Drew Campbell bringing up the back. I told these guys they could have the start. I didn't want to try for it, and I let them go, but looks like both Dustin and Drave had an issue starting there. So joining me on headset is Kyle Holler. He is your webmaster for NYOA. He is part of your NYOA media team, and joining you on that team is
Becky Wheeler, Kelly Mann, and Chip Mann.
Awesome. And what role do you guys play within NYOA?
So we're out here updating everyone as much as possible on all of our social media platforms, which is Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, and the website.
That's impressive. I didn't even realize NYOA had a Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Well, it's X now.
It's what?
X.
Yeah, I don't do Twitter, so I'm not familiar with the changes. All I knew is Elon bought it, and
yep,
he's doing some changes, huh?
Making waves out there. That's what he's doing.
All right. Well, we appreciate you guys putting in effort to help promote this series and make sure that everybody can communicate on our platforms, whatever site they may be on. So thank you for that.
No problem.
And Kyle is also a racer. He competes in the utility class on a 4x4, which is what we're all riding. I'm going past the Eckhart Group 4E Racing. And there was Josh Clark on the left. I like to give those boys a high five when I'm just out there having fun. Kyle, how come we didn't see you at this race?
I was in Maine officiating a wedding for the first time, so
what are you going to do? Use this one as a drop?
yeah, this will be a drop, and then I plan on making all of the other races, so as long as the quad stays together, I will be there.
We'll see you at the banquet.
Yes, and I'll actually get a trophy this year. Thank
Awesome.
God.
And how are you doing in your class?
I'm at a solid third right now, which is all right because there are, 3 main people in the class right now. So, not as well as I'd like to be doing, but you got to work from somewhere. So
yeah, and on that note, it's a bit of a bummer to see the numbers dwindling as the season's gone on here. In most classes, I've experienced it in the 4x4 class, you've experienced it in the utility class. It almost feels like as the summer drags on, people are less interested in racing, and I don't have that. The passion's still alive. I want to get out there.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that they want to try racing at least.
A photo quiz.
Oh.
Photo quiz, you just got to identify the track. Just leave the track name in the answers in the comment section of this video. The first person to answer every photo quiz correctly in the correct order wins $200. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
A lot of people like to race, and I think that they want to race, but unfortunately there's just a lot of time and money that needs to be spent maintaining your machine to even race.
Sure.
And it's a big commitment, and then it's also summer, so
yeah,
you want to go out and enjoy the weekends with your friends, but you also have racing. So
yeah, take up late nights prepping your machine, spending a lot of monies, traveling, all that, or do you just want to hang out at home on the weekend? I get it. Sometimes that's a tough call to make. Wow, that's a power move by Mills here. He gets He gets mud on his camera, and we don't really see a clear shot from him for a good, I'm not sure, 10-15 minutes at least. Justin runs his GoPro up on the hood of the machine where the rest of us have it on our helmet. So I've made sure that when I pull my roll off, I wipe the camera at the same time, because there's chances are if I need to clear my vision, I need to clear the lens as well. He doesn't have that because it's on his hood, so he literally has to take his hand off, reach forward, and wipe it there.
Is there any benefit to it being on your machine versus your helmet, or vice versa?
I think some people are just more comfortable not having it on their helmet because you can see it. Like, I can look down my nose and see that I've got a big bulky thing there, and if that's distracting to people, I can understand why they'd run it on their hood. I personally think the POV, the point of view of having it on your helmet or your chin mount, is the best viewpoint. You can tell that Dustin's standing up in this shot. You can see that his body position is correct. Much like looking down trail at Justin standing, their body position brings them forward over the machine. Versus when they're sitting down doing full throttle pulls through a field section, you then get to see their hand controls, if they're braking hard into corners. So it just gives you a better perspective, in my opinion. I like it better than mounted to the hood. But I think if we move forward with this show, Kyle, we are only going to be treated to hood point of views in the future.
Yeah. I've never worn a camera before, partially because I sing a little too much while I race, so no one wants to hear that.
By singing, or do you mean cursing?
Well, a little bit of both. Depends on how the day's going, really.
We've all been known to pass the time one way or another, and some of us are vocal about it, some of us aren't. And unfortunately, I've filmed every race I've ever done, so my embarrassing moments have all been captured on GoPro. Yeah. I used to recite lines from movies just to block out the pain. But moving forward with the show, I've got some ideas that I've been playing around with, and I'll make them known here. I don't think we're getting the interest in the show between the trees. Justin stalled right there. I don't know if he stalled because Dustin bumped him, but it was just a fluke right there, and Dustin had to sneak by Justin Mills as it looked like he shut off, but he was able to refire and get going there.
I've found that I hit the little red button on the handlebars sometimes.
Just kills it, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Hence the name Kill Switch. Oh, and another photo quiz. Just name the track. And if you're a fan of racing, cross-country racing, these photos should be somewhat obvious. I'm not going to give a ton of clues. Name the track. But getting back to the show, we want to, get as many views as we can and gain as much exposure for NYOA, for the cross-country racers in our series. And we do that through video, we do that through photos. I'm trying to do it through this show. Unfortunately, the show this year is based on a bunch of old, overweight, 4x4 guys who were not always the fastest. There's Justin showing us he hasn't wiped his camera. We're not always the fastest guys on the track. Heck, we never are the fastest guys on the track. We're never in your top 10 overall. We're not even in the top 25 overall. So we're not lightning fast, super exciting to watch. We all have our own fan base, people that support us, follow us, and we appreciate that. But in order to gain exposure for the sport, I think we should take this show to the front row.
I think that's a good idea. I mean, there's a lot of people that like to watch racing in general, and they don't really care what class it is. But then there's people out there that they want to see what is the fastest guy doing, how is he riding,
what lines he's choosing, where's his carry momentum.
Hands, what's his body position, like what's he doing,
or even the gear he's riding.
Yep.
I mean, on a 450, you've got to have gear selection. Mm-hmm. You can hear guys like Hunter Hart, who's always at the top of their power band, rev bombing the crap out of that motor, versus other riders who are slower and they have a much lower RPM lugging it through. Maybe they're just in a different gear.
Yeah, I don't usually hear the rev bomb until they're right behind.
Until they're lapping us, yeah. But yeah, I'd like to see faster guys utilizing the GoPro cameras. I'll still produce the show. It'll be the same type of format. We'll have a guest host for each show. I'll host most of them, and I just need to get with the series, do some logistics, see if NYOA is okay with some of the front row guys wearing cameras. I've already spoken with a few of the front row ATV guys, and they seem interested. We would like to try to get 5 racers involved, committed to next year. And in order to make this a reality, we're going to need sponsorship. So if any of the listeners, any of the viewers know somebody who would like to be a title sponsor for Between the Trees next year, starring the AA class of the NYOA ATV series, let us know. We're looking for sponsorship. Somebody who's willing to put up some money for some cameras and cards and make this a reality. So I'd like to take it further, and I don't think we're going to go much further with the 4x4 class, bunch of old guys. So
yeah, I mean, the more sponsors you have, or if you have a title sponsor, they're going to get the exposure too. The show is only going to grow as you expand into different classes and whatever you decide to do with it. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying for. This is an awesome sport. I'm passionate about it. I want to share that passion with others and get others involved. So hopefully we accomplish that. Checking back in with the race, Dustin's he's on fire with this new Renegade. Look, he's right up Colton's tail lights here, just staying right with him through this rough stuff.
Like I said before, Dustin got off of the Outlander and onto this Renegade and turned into a new person. As long as the quad agrees with him, he's constantly just on fire.
Yeah, he's got a new gear. It seems like he shifted from low to high when he went from the Outlander to the Renegade, and he's just been running a faster pace.
Yep.
He did talk to me about it a little bit last night. Obviously, I manage all the footage from the riders in the 4x4 class, so I get to see what happens to these guys, even though I wasn't near them. And he needs to exercise patience just a little bit more when he gets into these tight battles. He's been forcing the issue at a few races and ended up on the ground one time, and he's going to have some issues later in this one because he was forcing the issue just a little bit too much when he should exercise some patience.
Or Justin's camera.
Yeah, I just keep cutting to it because it's like these guys give me their footage and they probably want to know, hey, where's that shot of me at this section of the track? Well, you didn't wipe your camera, so we didn't see anything. But this is our women's national champ, Hannah Hunter. She joins us at NYOA every now and then. I don't believe she runs a full series, but she's following Kyle Lawrence on lap 1. We're just over the 11 mark.
I'm surprised she hasn't followed Caitlin Osborne's path and kind of changed classes. Starting midfield can be tough, especially when you're as fast as Hannah is.
Yeah, we had 209 racers at this event, and Hannah started roughly in about 102nd and 103rd, behind all the rows in front of her. Where do you think she finished?
At least top 25.
16th overall. How impressive is that?
It's crazy.
And if you see Hannah Hunter's arms, like, she's jacked, right? She takes the fitness serious, the training serious, the bike setup serious. I mean, she's a great competitor, and she's got that number 1 plate for a reason. And she blows by all of us 4x4s.
Maybe that's why she hasn't moved. She's using NYOA as a training day. You know?
Yeah, how to pass big bulky 4x4s. Yeah. She does race the morning GNCC with all the other 4x4s, so she's probably used to having to deal with the traffic. Yeah, very talented racer. Great to see her at the races. And you mentioned earlier, Kate, she moved up to AA2 row to challenge herself and ride with the faster guys. Doing a little bushwhacking there, trying to get out of the way of a faster guy coming through.
I've learned that most of these 4x4s will go over and through just about anything you want it to. Within reason. Yeah. Some of those trees are a little bigger than you think, and you go for it.
Yeah, we're gonna see.
You kind of just stop.
We're gonna see Kyle get stuck in a glorious fashion here on this show, and we're gonna see myself get stuck in not so glorious, just embarrassing. It happens. It happens. Hence the name of the show. You got to keep it between the trees. I kind of like the lingo though I came up with, betwixt the sticks.
Yeah.
It sounds a little more exotic. There they were, ripping through the woods, betwixt the sticks.
The adult version.
Yeah.
That's for
the rated
Adult
X
Swim.
version.
Yeah.
Hey, you see the guy in the green there? He's on a 4x4 and he's in our class, and he's even wearing 2 cameras. Everybody refers to his muscles as weapons of mass destruction. I just call them guns. There's a photo quiz. Name the track. That is all. Guns is wearing cameras, and we were supposed to meet up after the race, but I've had enough of Guns. He just shows off too much. He makes it all about him. Look at me, this is my video. I'm done with it. I'm not going to give him any more exposure on my channel. You hear me, Guns? You're done. And Katie, I'm not even going to start, but the pit crew thing, we need to work on our water stops, okay? I'm going to be in trouble for that one.
Probably. Definitely.
No, all year I've been kissing the Honacki's ass, telling the world how great they are. I'm allowed to give them a hard time. This is the section that burned me on lap 2. I got stuck right there. But jumping back into the race action, Dustin Carnes following Colton Harkness. It looks like Colton is following Rich Drave. So I believe we're seeing 1, 2, and 3 for the 4x4 racers. I think Guns is behind Dustin Carnes in 4th at this point, and he either has Keister behind him or right with him. I didn't put positions up for this show because I wasn't in the hunt for any positions. I was way in the back, and I couldn't figure out, because of all the mud and the wiping, who was where. So no positions. I'm guessing Dustin's in 3rd. What do you think of the track? As a viewer,
it looks rough, but at the same point, I mean, we do have quite a few rough tracks this season that we've had already, and I mean, I hate missing races. So, but you know, I had other engagements that I knew were coming up, and unfortunately, I had to miss this race.
How dare you have a life outside of NYOA?
I know, Reverend Kyle Haller.
Yep.
Cheers.
Well, I'm sure your friend appreciated you being there. I wish I had orchestrated a lobster pickup while you're up there in Maine. But I'm sure we'll look forward to seeing you race at Twisted.
Yes. I prefer mud races over dust races any day.
Heck yeah, it's a safety issue for me.
I don't like wearing my goggles very often, and I would much rather get hit in the face with mud than dust.
Sure.
Your visibility during dust is next to nothing.
Yeah.
So,
jumping on board with Justin Mills, he's finally wiped his camera, and it gives us a beautiful shot. However, his microphone must still be covered with a chunk of mud because it's very faint engine noises coming from that camera. But he is showing us that he's chasing Guns, who is actually following Hannah Hunter, and she just got around Chris Keister there. So it looks like we're looking at 4th, 5th, and Justin must be running in 6th.
It looks like you guys are all keeping a pretty consistent speed, so...
Oh, that's sweet of you to say, but remember, I'm the guy way in the back. I wanted to go into this one with the mindset it should be fun. Mm-hmm. I can't be competitive for a win. I can't be competitive even for a podium right now because of my condition, so I wanted to see how the ribs were feeling, and honestly, they felt good, but I noticed that I lost some of my fitness during this injury that I've got to regain, where these guys have still been charging hard. They get up to race pace quickly and they're gone. I got to work on that. So just going to try to have fun the rest of this year.
Absolutely.
High five some buddies on the way by if I see them.
Unless you're in, a payout class or trying to move up or do whatever you want, I guess, but it's all fun. It's supposed to be fun. We're not winning anything crazy, so, but it is nice to win.
Awesome trophies. What are you talking? We get to take home awesome trophies, brah. And those are bragging rights.
Wait, you guys get to take home trophies?
Yeah. Come on, if there's only 3 guys in your class and you finish a lap, you're at least getting a trophy.
Nope.
You don't?
1 for every 3 plus 1.
Oh, that's right. So only your winner.
Yep, winner and plus 1, so 1st and 2nd.
And I gotta admit, I'm a fan of Mike Quill, new guy to your class. Talk about a nice guy.
I don't say this lately, but sandbagger. He needs to move up.
He's gonna move up. I have a feeling NYOA will make him move up.
Yeah.
He's a fast guy, but he's a rookie.
He's raced 2 races with us so far, and has won both races that he has been in. So,
which were only his 2nd and 3rd races ever. I was in the Winter Series race with him in February, which is his first ever race. Mm-hmm. He is a total rookie. So we got to give him a little slack. Yeah, he might be sandbagging that class a little bit with you
guys.
Great
guy, though. He really is.
Oh, very nice guy.
Yep.
And I fully imagine he'll want to move up to the 4x4.
We don't give him the competition he needs.
Yeah. He'll be a welcome group to the 4x4 class.
Absolutely.
I'm uncertain if I'm going to be in it next year. I'm toying at the idea of just going right up to that AA row just to mix it up, just to screw with them.
Everyone has to have a dream.
Yeah, either that or go back to the women's row, C-class, 25th row way in the back. I haven't really made up my mind. It's 2023. I can be whatever I want. If I want to identify as a pro or as a C-class female, I can. Okay?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yep.
But yeah, I would like to see a class a little more suited for my age and ability. I'm kind of stuck with a class where we're only leveled by ability. Mm-hmm. And we've got a wide range of ability and age.
Yep. I'm hoping, we just don't have the number to split up the utility quads any more than they already are.
Correct. I think another few years we will.
Yeah. There's a lot of companies making different machines. But with that being said, Polaris and Can-Am are still some of the only 2 that are making sport versions of that. So it is still limited, but I think that that'll change soon.
I hope so. And I've always said if Honda ever came out with a sport 4x4, I wouldn't be racing a Can-Am. Mm-hmm. I have been a Honda brand loyalist for most of my life, and am disappointed that big manufacturers like even Yamaha. Where's your Yamaha Sport 4x4? They're a leader in so many other motorsports. Why not come out with a Sport 4x4?
They have the sporty side-by-sides.
Right.
So, this is just the in-between between the, size of the engine of a side-by-side and the, width of a quad.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's a lot of fun riding these V-twins. They've got a ton of horsepower. It can bite you when you lose control of that horsepower, but it's so helpful most of the time. Pulls us through the rough stuff, and it's a smoother ride because of our suspension. we've got a sport quad stuck between Justin Mills and Chris Keister right here, and you just see how much his machine's moving compared to the 4x4s. Oh, Justin's got to play a game of which way.
Yeah, I know a lot of tracks have been doing the bypass line, or not bypass lines, but just opening the trail up a lot. And I find myself doing the same thing. It's like,
Which way do I go?
Which way do I go? And you have a split second to make that decision too. But
I try to focus on momentum. I'm always looking for a line that'll carry the momentum without the least stop and go through the apex or something like that.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this track. There was a lot of negativity after. It had its fair share of mud holes and roots and rocks and ruts. We race in New York. I feel like every track has that. I'm torn because there are some tracks that we have been on for years and years and years, but at the same time, we're racing cross country. If you wanted a groomed track, go race motocross. We're given what we're given, and honestly, in New York State at this point, it's good to just have somewhere to ride. Yeah. And on that note, you've been racing here in New York for a while now. Tell us a little bit about your backstory.
I've been racing NYOA since I believe 2013, so back when it was Western New York Off-Road Association.
So you were what? You're a young man, so what?
Yeah.
You were 13, 14 when you started racing?
Yep, just about.
Okay.
And I started off, I actually never got to race Pee-wees or Minis or anything like that, so I started off on a Raptor 250, raced that for a couple of years, then went up to the 450, YFZ 450. Hated that, absolutely hated it. And then eventually gained a little bit of weight and got a little taller, so I just hopped on one of the 1000s, which I say that lightly because my first year was a learning curve times 10. So, but I've been racing for about 10 or so years now. I've been trying to get more involved, so starting out small was the webmaster position, and I've been trying to run for the rider rep.
Yeah.
Yep, adult quad rider rep position for a couple of years now. Unfortunately, I have not been able to get voted in yet, but
it's
we're
such a
working on it.
popularity contest.
Yeah.
And you got a popularity guy that you got to compete against with Pat Lane. He has
Ray Chilson as well.
Yeah, they got friends and family out there to vote for him, and hopefully after this show we'll get you some new fans, buddy.
Absolutely. And you know what? Even I know that there's 2 defined rider reps, but if anyone has any questions, comments, concerns, you can reach out to just about anybody on the NYOA board or just anyone in general. And everyone's willing to help. So that's one of the good things about that.
We need to help. We need to see it succeed in order for the sport and the series to succeed. Boy, Dustin here battling with some other class riders. I didn't catch a number on that, but the whole community is very helpful. So if you do have a question, you don't know who to ask, just ask anybody, right? Yeah. Well, thank you for everything you're doing for the series, and good luck running for that rider rep. You've got my vote, buddy.
I appreciate that, Drew. I'll finally be at a banquet where I actually win something.
Looking forward to that. Dustin's still working his way through here. We're at the 25-minute mark of lap 1. These laps were long.
Yeah. It sounded like he was yelling at the guys in front of him, trying to get them out of the way.
Yeah, and there comes Hannah, working her way through. Watch how tight she goes inside of this rider. Just powers through, and then it's a drag race to the hay bales. I'm not sure the other rider knew who he was drag racing, but she gets it just at the last second. He's got to slam on the brakes. And then stalls. and Dustin goes right by. We're going to see some stuff happen with Dustin, guessing another 10 minutes that you don't really see very often. He gets into a unique accident. And
well, Dustin's a pretty unique guy. So
he is. The video I posted earlier this week on social media has over 25,000 views and it went pretty viral. Had a lot of comments and criticism mostly.
Is that video in here?
It is.
Okay.
We'll watch that. We'll give our opinions on what happened and break it down. So stay tuned. There's some entertaining parts of this show in this episode of Between the Trees. Picking up with Kyle here. He's following. It looks like Keister and two sport quads stuck between them. Kyle still pushing forward. I want to say he's probably around 6th place right here.
Mm-hmm.
He has some misfortune, as I teased earlier, and gives us quite the epic, well, how'd you do that situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you don't wipe the camera.
Yeah, right?
You can't see anything.
Yeah. And this track was, see the big clumps they're just roosting at each other? Yeah, it had that on a lot of it, so you really had to be on with wiping the camera. And that's one of the logistics that is difficult to describe to people. They want to see us racing. I'm all for that. I'm all for the video. I want to make a show that's entertaining and people want to watch it. I can only do that if people wipe their camera.
Yeah.
I can only do it if I have camera footage to work with, meaning guys like Guns has to meet up with me after the race and make sure I get their footage. If I go home without their footage, I don't have it in time to put together the show. So there's a lot of logistics, weather, camera batteries, cards, the riders, if they break down, they don't even make it 100 feet. Well, we don't have that rider's footage. There's a lot of things going on that make a show, and I hope that there's enough content material next year. I'd really like to show off that front row.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great idea, and I don't think you shouldn't get much opposition to that either. So
no, we discussed there might be we know the names who might push back on it.
Yeah. And
hopefully they can see the benefit of promoting our series, and in hopes of bringing in some new support, some new sponsors, and hopefully future racers to keep it going. Some of these guys, they get into racing because they watch other people's videos. So I'm all for promoting them.
Absolutely. We had laptops in high school, and I would sit there during study hall and all that stuff and just watch race videos. That's all I did. So, which, ironically enough, didn't help me any because I'm still slow. So.
Hey, you're out there doing it.
Yep, very true.
I feel slow too. I try to remind myself, at least you're out here doing it.
Yep.
Yeah, you'll hear that on camera. Ooh, I am following a buddy of mine, 13-year-old Peyton Hitt, and I got to turn some wrenches on the quad he's riding. So when he came through, I pulled over. You and I were having a chat about your career in racing at the time, but I pulled over and let him by. I wanted to get some footage of him. We've actually had some friendly bets, wagers this year, if he's faster than me, and he was in the beginning of the year, but he's quicker than me now, and I wanted to get some good footage of him, so we meet up and do some racing here on lap 1, but you're going to see some misfortune with Peyton too. Looking back at this race, it was just full of drama.
Yeah.
Had a lot going on, and here's Hannah still in front of Dustin, but it looks like she's going to make a pass on that rider. Boom, she's gone.
And this is why I hate missing races. I don't get to enjoy the
drama.
The drama or the pain or whatever you guys went through on the track.
So I think even after my days of racing are over, you'll still see me at the track, most likely with a camera in my hand, but still being part of the community because it's just so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing quite like it.
I mean, we're all big kids playing with toys.
Pretty much.
In the woods. We get as dirty as we want. No one yells at us. We can go as fast as we want. No one's telling us to slow down.
Unless you're in the pits.
Yeah, unless you're in the pits. We'll mention that later. Yeah, there are pit rules for a reason. You're going to watch Peyton here get cross-rutted. And he's going to go... Oh, it's not this spot. But he gets cross-rutted up here and puts the whole quad sideways right in front of me. I don't know how these guys go so fast on these two-wheel drive machines. You see somebody's upside down there.
They just float. I truly believe it.
Well, one thing I noticed with Peyton, he is a little bit smaller of a rider. He's on a hybrid. He's on a 450 frame with a 250 stuffed in it.
Mm-hmm.
Because of his age group, he needs to stand a little bit more in this rough stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He's squatting or sitting through most of the terrain. And there's another race picture. Identify that track. If you follow racing, you probably know what it is. That's all I'm going to say. The last giveaway actually took 72 hours for a winner to emerge.
Wow.
Yeah, I was pleased. Like, the first show we did it, somebody won within a half hour, I think. And I was like, well, that wasn't fun. There was no build-up, nothing. So I've tried to make it a little more difficult each time. I realize some of the clues I give might be helping. So maybe if I just keep my mouth shut and don't say anything. Still going at it with Peyton here. Just trying a couple different lines. It's lap 1. I don't have any competition around me. I haven't seen any other 4x4 racers. As far as I know, I've completely gotten smoked. However, I realize now, putting the show together, that I wasn't that far off the pace. I was probably only a half a minute away from that lead group that we keep watching bunched up.
Yeah, I try to explain to people about racing that 30 seconds is a lot.
It's a very long time, sure.
And it's hard to even...
So Peyton, yeah, real quick, Kyle. Peyton goes sideways here, but I want to note this timestamp because this is when Dustin has issues as well. Let's listen. Oof. So his camera wasn't clear, but you can see that he's pushing really hard, and I know this area of the track, and there goes Guns right on by. So he lost position, and when he hit the tree there, he caused a lot of damage to his front end. I cut back to my camera to show you that we did clear Peyton from the trail. He's underway again. I've refired. I'm underway again. So going back to Dustin, he has hit that tree. His front end is bent. He's having a very hard time steering. He's got to carry momentum right now to keep the front end rolling because everything is locked up and binding on him. So going through the pits here, a lot of people have been saying he's going too fast. Well, watch what happens. Boom. The A-arm brakes as he's passing someone's camper, and the quad steers him right into the camper. A lot of criticism about how fast he was going in that moment.
I think that the noise that people hear is very misleading. It sounds like you're going a lot faster than you are, but if you're trying to keep that momentum going,
because you have a bent up machine,
exactly.
Yeah.
Where would you rather him flip over? I mean, no one wants to, run into someone else's stuff and, possibly do damage. But knowing Dustin, there is no way that it was on purpose with any malicious intent, anything like that.
And you can hear, if you visit my social media accounts, I posted the video earlier this week. Like I said, 25,000 plus views.
Yep.
He received a lot of criticism for going too fast, and everybody assumed like they knew what happened, like he broke it when he hit the camper. He didn't have anything wrong before. He was just going fast through the pits. No, we're talking about somebody who, he might have even hurt himself. He just hit a tree, going pretty fast. His front end was so bent up, it wasn't quite steering or rolling correctly. So we need to be a little understanding there. He wasn't just, blitzing through the pit just to go get his, the water or something.
What they saw was the, last 20 seconds of a minute long, situation.
Right. Something that played out that led up to that, that the internet keyboard warriors didn't know about.
There's plenty of them.
Yeah, a lot of them. You can see Jared hit on the side of the track there, pointing and laughing at me because it's his son that's finally beating me. And what I didn't mention earlier is young Peyton and I did have a friendly wager at Ditch Banger. Whoever was to beat the other one at Ditch Banger owed the other guy a case of Oreos. So Peyton, thank you for my Oreos. They were delicious. And I haven't made another wager with him because now I'm riding slower and he's riding faster. So maybe I'll just bring him a package of Oreos just because he did really well this race. He finally got the dub for his class. And let's be honest, he beat a bunch of 4x4 guys doing it. So
there's a lot of young kids that are coming up, and they're just fast.
Oh, and he's one of them. 13 years old on a hybrid ATV, and he's beating guys that have been at it for over 10 years.
I'm a little bit faster than I was at 13, but
yeah. I didn't start racing until age 38, so
yep.
I'm still learning. But great track, man. Again, I liked it. People complain.
Fun.
What I liked is the flow. A lot of these S turns, even what Justin's going through here, you've got a lot of just sweeping turns on a nice uphill. You can really hammer down and carry speed and momentum in areas. Now, other spots, I get it. It's too rough to go fast and carry momentum.
Yep.
And that's what zaps your energy. That's what takes the fun out of it. But like you said earlier, it's, go ride motocross tracks if you want grooming.
Pretty much. I mean, you get what you get. You don't throw a fit.
Oh, I like that. Did you just make that up?
No,
Something your mom's been saying to you since you were a little kid?
Yeah.
All right, well, Justin Mills is our on board. He's showing us that this mud hole he doesn't care about. They warned us about this at the beginning on the start line, said there's a rough one. So Kyle knows this coming up to the same section. He's 10 seconds behind Justin. He opts not to go through it. You're on a 4x4, Kyle. Like, look at him. He's out on safari. Where are you going, bud?
He definitely took advantage of it.
Yeah, now look at this. Like, what are you doing, Kyle?
Who put that tree there?
All because he didn't want to ride through the mud puddle. Buddy, it's a 4x4, and for some reason, Jeff Kowalski, your former 4x4 champion, followed him. Like, you guys have four-wheel drive. Just go through the mud. It's not going to hurt you.
It might even wash off a little bit.
Yeah, it might even clean up the wheel or get rid of some of the weight.
Yep.
So he's having issues here.
I think my favorite part that I've seen is this.
The tether?
Yeah, because they disconnected, and then they reconnected, still around the tree.
The wrong side of the tree. Yeah, so here, thanks, Kyle. You're over there dicking around in the bushes, and I decided to go right through the mud with Peyton, 13-year-old. He's riding a 250cc engine. I don't even think he needed to clutch it or rev it or nothing.
Yeah, he wasn't afraid of the mud.
Yeah, he just rolled right through the little mud puddle.
Kyle must be allergic.
Yeah. Well, he finally got it free, but look at all the bark. Oh, look at it on his throttle. His throttle is like covered in bark. Oh, you're a good sport, Kyle. Thanks for giving me your footage after you do something embarrassing. Oh, he got back underway, though. And I'm not going to tease him anymore because on lap 2, I get stuck and he blows right by me, so it happens.
I've only gotten stuck in mud one time with a 4x4.
Or you just couldn't free it?
Yep, just couldn't do anything. I even tried to use my own boot. Like, I shoved my foot into...
I'm just showing his rear view.
Yeah.
His rear view is worthless for a while because of the tree. But yeah,
I shoved my boot into the hole where the tire was, the rut, just to try and get a little bit of traction. I didn't even care about my leg at that
So you
point.
ran over your own foot?
Pretty much. Nothing helped. I had to get towed out of that bad boy.
It's the worst, too, because our machines are so heavy, we can't pick them up like a sport quad.
Nope.
Yeah. On lap 2, I had myself and 2 other guys helping me get unstuck just because of how heavy the quad is. And I was thinking through my career, this might have been the worst stuck I've had at a NYOA. I've had a bad situation at a fall series race, but I think for NYOA, that might have been the worst I get stuck is in this race.
Yeah, well, it's actually funny because the race that I got stuck at was during the fall series, and I think the worst part of getting stuck was this tiny little, like, I want to call it a badger or something. It was this tiny little...
Honey badger?
Yeah, just this tiny little quad. And it comes just flying on by, looks at me. He waved, so that was nice. But
so embarrassing, right?
And I have this 1,000-pound machine that is supposed to go through anything.
It's 4x4.
Yeah, and I'm sitting just looking pretty.
That's great.
That's about it.
Yeah, we also have a fall series here in New York for the viewers and listeners outside of the area. It's a 4-race series that's starts in late October and runs till mid-November, and runs a lot of the motocross tracks. Those tracks incorporate their motocross track into the hare scramble track. Yeah, he's getting a little... Yeah. You can see that he reached up his left hand to, I think, do goggles and miss the brake. Get your stuff together, Kyle. But yeah, those fall tracks, it's fun because they'll send you around part or even a majority of the motocross track and incorporate it into the hare scramble track. So you get to see what it's like to ride an actual groomed motocross track. I
know a couple people that'll ride past me and hit the jumps, and they're like, "Why don't you do that?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's a lot of weight.
Big guys on big quads don't fly well."
No.
Yeah. But I do enjoy some of them. We don't get to leave the ground very often in NYOA races. They don't have many jumps, and those fall races do.
You had some nice jumps at Black Sky, the logs.
The log jumps. That's not a jump. That's a barrier. It's a log barrier for.
I tried to hit one of them, and I got stuck right on the top of it.
Yeah, Kyle did the same thing.
And I started to wobble back and forth.
All right, so the fastest camera in our group is Justin Mills. He's sitting in 4th place. He's a couple minutes outside the lead. Rich Drave, Guns, Honacki, Colton Harkness are your top 3. Keister, Campbell, Lawrence bringing up the back of the pack. I try to show us each going through the checkpoint, so I believe Keister is in front of me. He's going to check in just ahead of me, and then I'll come through, and then Kyle next. And that's your lap 1. And like the previous episodes, I cut up laps 2 and 3. I show you what happened for anything exciting during those laps, and if nothing did, then we wrap up the show. But we've got a little bit more excitement to share with you. So stay tuned. We're not done yet. But lap 1 is in the books. I'm coming through 43 minutes and 30 seconds.
Your buddy Brad.
Yeah. The Hoffenator. Feeling good at this point. Ribs weren't bothering me. I felt like I could pick it up just a little bit.
Yeah, I think after an injury, it's good to get out there, but also you gotta remind yourself that you are human and you can mess yourself up pretty quickly.
Yeah, and it happens in the blink of an eye in the sport. So Kyle looks like he's about 30 seconds behind me, roughly. Clocking in for the first time of the race. This is a 3-lap race. Most of our races, actually all of our races this year, are 3 laps. They really made an effort to target the lap time for the front row around 30 minutes so that we'd have shorter events, shorter races, and it's kind of backfired. I myself was on track for 2 hours and 22 minutes for this race. One of the longest races of my NYOA career. So,
been there, done that.
Yeah.
Except I was on the 250, so quite a few years ago, and most of my season, my first or second year, I'd be pulling into the checkered, and there wouldn't be anyone left holding the checkered. They just put it in one of the tubes at the end.
It's sitting in an orange cone.
Yeah. He'll figure it out.
I've had that happen too. I had it happen last race. I was so slow, they were tearing down the checkpoint by the time I finished. I know the feeling, Kyle.
It's always a good feeling to know that you are literally the last person on the track.
You know what it means? It means you're the toughest warrior. You put in the most time out there. Mm-hmm. Look at it that way.
I was the sweeper that race.
Yeah, right? I was making sure everybody else got home safe. Yeah. Whatever you got to tell yourself, buddy. I felt good, though. I would have liked to have had even a longer race. I feel the mud was actually smoothing out the jarring edges. So you see how the ruts are really working in as we're traversing this uphill here. It smoothed out by the 3rd lap. Things weren't as choppy, and the braking bumps that are formed by the dirt bike riders in the morning, those kind of dissipate, and the track works in and smooths itself out. So
one thing I can see about Justin's camera is that because it is mounted to the quad, when you're racing and it's on you, you kind of adjust yourself.
You float over the quad, yeah.
Well, so you're almost always straight. but this actually shows those off camber.
How bad the lean
Yep,
is.
yep. Because people don't realize that, on those smaller quads, it's much easier to ride in an off camber section than it is on these 4x4s because of how high up you are.
The center of gravity,
Mm-hmm.
the seat height versus the foot pegs
Yep.
were so much higher than a sport quad. And the GoPros have, I want to call it landscaping mode,
Mm-hmm.
where they'll always keep the horizon in the video level. So to your point, when the machine is off camber, the camera is still trying to show that it's
Yep.
level. So you're looking at the fenders being tilted, not the
Mhm.
camera angle. See the white flash across the screen there? That means that I jumped time. We went from about 45 minutes in the race, jumped forward to about 51 minutes into the race. Why? Because I'm finally riding faster. And look, I caught a competitor. I finally see somebody. It's Chris Keister. He's slowing up. He had a real good pace going in lap 1, but he's struggling to find some speed in the second lap, and I was able to catch up to him, race him for a little bit, and do end up getting by him.
He's been doing pretty well this season, right?
He is a great rider. He comes out, full blazing, swinging on lap 1, and if he doesn't see an issue with any of his 20 children that he also has on the racetrack, he'll race you hard, but he usually finds one of his kids broke down or having an issue, and he'll call his own race and stop just to help out his family. He's a true race dad, and I joke, I think he has 5 children, and I want to say 2 or 3 of them race.
Okay.
Right, so, and one of them is out there with us right now, so if he does see one of his kids in need while he's racing, he will stop and help them. Otherwise, I think fitness is an issue for Chris. He tends to fade as the race goes on if he is running hard.
Some of my lap times actually throughout the year, it's weird because, are you cutting corners?
Yeah, totally cheat. Look at that. Cheat the inside line right there.
My first lap is always my slowest lap, and I think it's because I'm trying to get a feel for the track, and then after that, I open it up a lot more. My times aren't terribly different from each other, but enough of a difference that you can tell that I sped up a little bit on my second lap.
Yeah, mine used to be like that. I used to tiptoe through the first one and pick it up, but I found that this faster group of 4x4 guys,
Can't do that.
you can't sleep on them off the start.
Mhm.
And so many of them are good at sprinting. Let's face it, they're all good at sprinting. As soon as that green flag raises,
Mhm.
we all go balls to the wall. There's just guys in my class that are really, really good at it, and I don't feel that's one of my strong suits. I struggle to get up and go quick. It takes me a while to get acclimated to my pace, the heart rate,
Yep.
the sweating, the arm pump, all of it. It takes me a while to get acclimated. These guys can just...
My pre-race
Go.
prep is 2 ibuprofens and some water. Hope for the best.
It's a good prep. I just finally passed Peyton back. It took me almost 30 minutes, but after he got cross-loaded in the trail and I had to push him out, I was able to catch him and get him back, and that's a big ha-ha to his dad, who was just giving me a hard time for letting his 13-year-old kid beat me. But I did catch him. He does get me back, though, when I get stuck. And you saw another white flash across the screen, meaning we jumped in time there. I think you see about an 8-minute jump. And I wanted to show this. We're about halfway through lap 2. And there's a stuck rider in the preferred lane causing Justin Mills to find an alternate route. And boy, did he luck out right there. It just opened up and boom, he was gone. So he was in and out of this section pretty quick. No harm, no foul. Well, I should be next in line, and I don't have the same luck. I'm showing Kyle's camera here because Kyle actually took the time to slow down and fix his rear view for us. So we now have Kyle's rear view to show us some. And there's Garrett Mayweather. His parents helped sponsor this show through WILLOWS Collision, so thank you to the Mayweather family. I try to go around the stuck rider and get back onto the preferred line and just somehow cross-rut it and completely wedge it between this tree.
Yep, that's rough.
Like, Drew Campbell, what are you doing, rookie? and it's stuck. I've got one right up the front bumper and one right behind me in the rear bumper. I can't go forward, I can't go back.
This is one of those instances I was talking about where sometimes your quad can go over a tree, other times it can't.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you didn't have momentum on your side. I think if you had a little bit more of that, you could have taken it down, but being wedged in between two kind of makes that difficult.
It was terrible. And you just saw Garrett Merriweather, everybody calls him G. He just drove by and parked it, and he's actually coming over to help, lend a hand. And I believe the other guy that lends me a hand here is that gentleman stuck down there, the reason why everybody else was going around. So I do eventually have some people come over and help me, but I wanted to show Kyle coming through. You can see me sitting up there to the left. Kyle takes that same line that Justin had to take, and you can see it's worn in already. People are already rooting it up because multiple people have to go around that stuck rider. And I'm in the background there, still digging.
He just left you behind.
Yeah. G is holding down the tree. We've figured out that if we bend down the tree, maybe we can get the front end up and over it. I'm going to try standing next to the machine because I've had success with these big 4x4s. If you're not on it, sometimes it'll crawl itself out of a situation. If you're on it, you usually just sit there and dig and spin.
Yep.
I got this nice burn on my forearm here. You'll see right here. Look at, you can show Kyle in the studio here. Yeah.
There you go.
Just burned my forearm on my exhaust trying to move this heavy thing. Fortunately, though, you can see we get it over just like 4 or 5 inches, just enough to clear the bumper, the rear bumper from that big tree behind me. G pushes down on the tree in front of me, and I was able to hop that front wheel up and over, but I had to back up one more time and take one more run at it. Some orange paint on that tree from my bumper. We're free.
Wow.
3 minutes later.
It's nice to see AA riders stop and help out.
Right, and we can't expect that.
No.
G was having a mechanical issue that was preventing him from competing in his own class in the front row and going fast. Look, he's already on his quad going fast again. So I had to pull over and get my tether situated and rebuckled up. But that's pretty much it for this show. I wanted to at least show that I got stuck. There was some excitement in my race. But taking the win was Colton Harkness, followed by Guns and Rich Drave, rounding out your top 3. I want to thank Willows Collision for putting up $100. I want to thank the man next to me, Kyle Holler, and the entire team at the NYOA media crew. Thank you, buddy, for putting up that $100. Together, $200 to give away.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, great job hosting. Appreciate you stopping by and doing that for us. All the listeners and viewers, thank you guys so much. Let's keep this show rolling. I want to see it on the front row. If you guys got suggestions or you know any sponsors that might want to get involved, please leave it in the comments. Don't forget to compete in the photo quizzes for your chance to win the $200. This has been Between the Trees. I'm Drew Campbell. Thanks for watching. We'll see you at the races.
Black tracksuit with a black top cap. People love to try, people love to lie. People forget, stop, remember that. We done them good, do you remember that? We needed someone, here's the facts. But people love to try, people love to lie. Yeah, this is London, mind the gap. Living life just multitasking. Smile like a horror movie, I'm laughing. Motivated and focused, crafting. Dash something in a break, all your eggs in a basket. Can't handle it, why you asking? Can't handle it, why you asking? Can't handle it, why you asking? Please don't try it. Nah, don't try it. You can't feed me lies, won't buy it. Question everything, told them nah, don't try it. Yeah, me a moving like some sidekick. Me a moving like some waste man. Tryna impress me, won't like it. Be a soft man, please don't try it. Really, why do they always? Nah, don't try it. You can't feed me lies, won't buy it. Question everything, told them nah, don't try it. Yeah, me a moving like some sidekick. Me a moving like some waste man. Tryna impress me, won't like it. Be a soft man, please don't try it. Really, why do they always? Yeah, you know I'm right. Vibes are here when I am outside. Born for the flows to keep the flow tight. Told me why they love to lie. Soul is dark but the mind is bright. Nocturnal, we live for the night. You wanna try but yeah, not quite. Monster with the bars, yeah, I might bite. If I have to, I tighten up the mic. See me here to do it for the likes. Keep it air max, yeah, like my knives. Ooh, I like to plan before I strike. But what do they know? Frequency's high, it never gets low. But yeah, what do they know? You're dripping in warm off mental tone. Nah, don't try it. You can't feed me lies, won't buy it. Question everything, told them nah, don't try it. Yeah, be a moving like some sidekick. Be a moving like some waste man. Tryna impress me, won't like it. Be a soft man, please don't try lie, it really